Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Game Spark. I am Susie Grace, and today's episode is episode 8. I have another awesome guest for you all today, so if you could introduce yourself, take it away, ready, go.
I am Gamey Grandpa. I do have 2 grandkids who play games and do kind of smell gamey at times, so
Yeah,
that's the name.
yeah,
Uh,
okay.
Been looking forward to this interview. I'm not looking forward to seeing the video because every time I hear myself, my inner monologue is deep and sounds intelligent and charming and great. And then all I hear whenever I hear myself on there is just the whole, I'm Larry, this is my brother Daryl, this is my other brother Daryl. Bonus points if anybody can recognize that reference.
It's
But,
great. You sound great. Totally.
I'm a Gen X, late 70s model, so kind of been through most of the game consoles and stuff.
Awesome.
over
I'm
the
really
years.
looking forward to hearing your answers because of that, actually. I think that's going to be great. Gamey Grandpa, remind me, do you remember when you became part of my Twitch community? Because I can't remember what game it was.
BioShock. I remember it was BioShock,
Okay.
and you were, I want to say, in the Wharf, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
That's the second level,
Okay.
and we're still waiting on Infinite.
Yeah. Haven't played Infinite yet. My first question for you is, what is your earliest gaming memory?
Okay, so I know a lot of times it can be a little bit competitive. People start talking about me nostalgic about Nintendo 64, then somebody will throw up Super Nintendo, maybe NES, and then of course the Gen X person will always throw in, well, Atari 2600, and it keeps going back to, we used to push a wooden hoop down a dirt road with a stick. Yeah. Mine actually, we had one of the old, I think, Pong things,
Oh, yeah.
but we didn't really play it much, so I can't really use that one.
Okay.
They got brought it out and we saw it one time.
You knew you had it.
Knew we had it. I
Okay.
mean, it had like a light rifle, but everything on the screen, it was just a white dot
Yeah.
on a black background. That's it.
Yeah.
We did have our Atari 2600, which I still have over here and all the games.
Nice.
But the earliest was actually, I think, Dad actually bought a Tandy Trash 80 TRS 80 from Radio Shack, Color Computer 2. There was a magazine they put out called Rainbow, and it would have, you think of these like Better Homes and Gardens stuff that had recipes, this thing would have pages and pages of code in it.
Oh my
So you
gosh.
program your own games. And there were, I mean, it had cartridge games. We had like, I think it's Polaris, Dino Wars, which was 2-person, you were 2 T-Rexes fighting each other.
Yeah.
Graphics were about Atari level. Program the games, we had Monkey Kong, which of course is basically Donkey Kong.
Yeah.
And we had it saved on a cassette tape. You'd have to put C-load, Monkey Kong, and then hit play on the cassette, and it would read it off of the cassette tape.
Man.
And then, yeah, and like I said, we programmed a few games. I remember one Cavern Copter, which was like, kind of like Flappy Bird, the one where you're taking the bird and you're trying to get through a knot, but it was a helicopter going through a thing.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, the first gaming experience was with one where you had to make your own games for the most part.
That's crazy. Did that carry through into your life where you like made games later? Is that what you do? Remind me. Is that what you do? Or did you?
Well, I mean, I don't make games, but I always wanted to. I always wanted to try to get into that. I even have Unreal Engine installed, and I've been meaning to go through and do it. I'm neurospicy, so anxiety, depression, ADHD, and autism. When you put all that together, one of the things you get is I will get very interested in something. I will get everything I need, download software, buy a couple $100 worth of stuff, and then I'll sit and think about all the things I can do with it for a couple of years.
I'll be honest. I don't know. I don't recognize that computer name, but that's one of the reasons I was so excited to interview somebody that was more of a Gen Xer, because I was like, I only know what I know, and a lot of the people, and most of the people I've interviewed so far have been, you know, relatively my same age. So I am just, this is fascinating to me. This is so fascinating. Here's my next question. What is your spark game, which is the game that basically sparked your interest in gaming, that you just knew you loved it and you were in it for like the long haul?
Okay, I have a real answer and then kind of an honorable mention.
Okay.
The big one was I was probably in I want to say about 4th grade when the NES, the original one, came out.
Mm-hmm.
At the time, like right before it really started coming out, I remember we had this department store, Hills, and in front they had the arcade cabinets, and they had Super Mario Brothers, and then I think the other one was like Hogan's Alley or Duck Hunt, something like that. And I remember playing it, and then finding out, oh, you can now go to Kmart and actually buy the NES system. And I put it on layaway, and of course, this is the one that came with, you know, the Duck Hunt Super Mario Brothers, which I have.
Oh, gee, the original. Is that it? Like, that's the one that you played, or is that a different one?
No, no. We'll. I think one of your future questions, we can get into that a little bit.
Okay.
What happened there, but yeah, the Super Mario Brothers, because it was like we had the Atari 2600. But those games were not like at the arcade. In those days, you had a real arcade. You go to an arcade now, you go to Chuck E. Cheese, and it's like it's like mobile games that you do for tickets.
Right.
But they had real arcade games, a ball pit, a diseased ball pit probably. You know, it was real arcade stuff, and it was like, oh my gosh, you could actually have it at home, and it was just the greatest thing.
Yeah.
And that was really the one that probably got it. I mean, I'm terrible at games. I played it for years, and then I had a cousin who came over and played it. And before he played it, I didn't know there was more than 4 levels. That's how bad I am. But
listen, give yourself some grace, because those old games are really hard. They're really hard. They're very punishing. They're not very forgiving. There are no save points. Very few of them gave you like passwords. Give yourself some grace. Those games were really tough. I don't think I've ever beaten the original Marios. Ever. Like the original Mario. I don't. Okay, what's this honorable mention?
That would be Space Quest, which is from Sierra. Sierra Online.
Oh my gosh, I know Sierra.
Yeah, Ken and Roberta Williams.
Isn't that the one where they had like the little character that would drag the name and go Sierra am I remembering
I don't know about
this wrong?
that. They had
Maybe I'm remembering this wrong.
I have this. There's the Sierra logo.
And that's the same company. Okay, that was just on our game, apparently.
This is the VGA version, the one I had was the old EGA, CGA original. But it was the first game I had that was more of a story-driven, which that was kind of their thing. Roberta got into writing the stories, and they're making the games.
Yeah.
That was the first one that was that kind of a game, and I didn't, going from arcadey type video gaming games to that was just a huge step.
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't that complicated of a game looking back, but at the time, that was a really big deal.
That was a big deal.
King's Quest, Space Quest.
Now, was that on a computer, or was that
Space Quest? That was, I think I had it on 5 1/4 floppies.
Okay.
We had, after the color computer, we got one of those IBM clones that had a whopping, I think it was 4.77 megahertz, or you could do turbo and put it up to 10 megahertz. Which at the time was wild. It had that thing, but it was CGA, which means 4 colors.
Oh my gosh.
And
Space Quest in 4 colors. Woo!
Yeah.
Totally changed your life, though. That's your honorable mention. So 4 colors or not. I mean, okay. My next question for you is, do you remember the first game you played but also beat 100% by yourself?
Okay, I'm going to have to do a double answer again.
Okay.
I'm cheating. Well, actually, funny I say cheating. Talking about how bad I am at games, the first one I technically beat was Contra, but it was using the Konami code, which goes from 3 lives and you get 2 continues to 90 lives, or 30 lives and 3 continues, so 90 total lives. Even at that, I have still lost it 2 or 3 times, where I couldn't even get to the last level. Even with 90 lives, but I have beaten it.
Is Contra Nintendo? Is that NES?
NES.
Okay.
That's the NES, and yeah, it was one of my top favorite ones from back then.
Okay, remind me what Contra is, because I know I've heard about it, but I can't. Is it racing? Is it?
It is kind of based on, you think of the old like Predator and all those kind of movies from the 80s. two guys with machine guns that look kind of Rambo-looking guys, and aliens have invaded, and you're just going through level after level, killing aliens and working your way up to the main. Spoiler alert: the main alien, which is it's actually surrounded by egg sacs that pop open, and it's got face huggers like the movie Alien, but not
8-bit
exactly.
face huggers. 8-bit.
Yes.
Yay! And those are my kind of face huggers.
It was creative.
Yeah. Sounds like it. I know I've heard of it, but I couldn't really remember what it was.
Great levels.
Okay, what do you have a second one?
Cheap one. The second one that is a legit actual win was the original on NES DuckTales, which was based off the DuckTales cartoon.
Yeah.
And one of the things I like is, of course, you think of our favorite game there, Hollow Knight.
Yeah. How
you can pogo off of people, and that's how that was. You're Scrooge McDuck, and you can pogo on his little cane on top of the enemies.
Stop.
But
oh
that
gosh.
one I actually managed to get through. I rented it and got through it in the time I had it rented.
Oh, now see, okay, here you say that you're bad at games, but how long could you hang on to a game when you rented it?
About a week.
A week? Okay, and yet you made it through that game in a week. And I know those games were unforgiving. I don't think I've ever played DuckTales. I have Rescue Rangers running in my head right now, which obviously isn't DuckTales. But like, those games were hard. They were really hard and they were really unforgiving. So you have talent because you finished it in a week. I didn't even know they had a DuckTales game, but of course they had a DuckTales game. As if Scrooge McDuck couldn't be any more unlikable. My next question for you is, what 3 games have impacted you the most?
Okay, the first one is going to be kind of a negative impact.
Okay.
Oh, there it is. It fell over. Okay, this isn't the first one. This is the second one. I don't think I still have a original Legend of Zelda.
But the gold cartridge.
The first Legend of Zelda. The first one, I loved it. It was like my favorite game at the time. I have I think I may still have the Nintendo Power magazine that has it's like the overhead map of it that looks like a claymation kind of thing that they did, like an advertisement. Loved the game, but I got close to beating it, and then a friend talked me into borrowing it. In those days, on a Nintendo, to save your game, you have to push and reset and turn the power off.
Yeah.
He claimed, which I'm not saying he's lying about it, but he was playing it, and he said his sister ran behind the TV and knocked the plug out. Completely erased it. He then said, well, he tried to get back as much as he could. That completely just, at that point, which I'd had at this point, I think I've had it 5-6 years at that point.
Yeah.
Wasn't really playing it that much. But that one kind of broke me a little bit, and I ended up selling the Nintendo, all the games, everything in a yard sale.
Oh my gosh, wait, because of Zelda? Because of that, you were like, I'm done for a while.
Yeah, of course, I mean, I did regret it later. I do have two NESs now, and I started getting back a lot of the games. Not to mention, if you get one of those little NES or SNES minis, I'm not saying I would do it, but they can be hacked to put hundreds and hundreds of these games on, but you shouldn't do that because I don't know about the legalities of it.
You didn't hear it from us.
But,
okay, well, here's full disclosure. I've never played the original Zelda. I've played Link to the Past, but I've actually never played the original Zelda game. So
okay, we're done here. That's just I can't.
I know, right? That's all right. Okay, see you later.
I actually bought when I was in college. I went through a long period where I kind of got away from gaming. I went through Nintendo, and then I had a Genesis. Back when it was Sega does what Nintendo don't. The whole big competition. And then after that, I kind of got away from the gaming for a while. And then I started to get back into it, and I dated a girl when I was in college, and like, what would be a good one to get back into? And she had an N64, and she was talking about, well, Nintendo is the good ones for what I like. The more cartoony, the more, kind of like what Hollow Knight is. That kind of thing, not the Red Dead or any of that kind of stuff.
Yes.
I got a GameCube, and that's the only game that I have. And I think I bought this before I actually bought the GameCube. This is it's a promotional disc. It's Legend of Zelda 1, 2, Ocarina of Time, Majora's Mask, and then there's like a Wind Waker demo.
Wait, all those games are on that disc and then a Wind Waker demo, or they're all just demos?
Oh no, the first 4 games, those full games are on the disc. And then the Wind Waker hadn't come out yet. It was like the demo for it. And it's just a one disc with all of them for GameCube. I was looking, it's not in here because I never took it out of the GameCube because the only one I had. So.
Yeah. I didn't even know that was a thing. That's incredible. So you have Zelda. Okay, wait. Remind me again. There's Zelda and Zelda 2. No.
Yep,
yes?
Adventure of Link.
Okay, which I also haven't played. And then Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask.
And Majora's Mask.
All on a disc.
So that one, like I said, that first Zelda, though, had that impact on me.
Okay.
The next one, we've already kind of mentioned the Space Quest, and because of it being such a different thing, and then there was other ones at the time like Commander Keen, and that was back in the days when copyright was usually just hidden files that nobody knew. You could go on there and do a thing and see the hidden files and copy or whatever and make them work. Not that we did that, but
again.
But yeah, like I said, that one was big, and then and of course the other one is your favorite and mine, or one of our favorites.
Oh yeah.
Stranger's Wrath.
Yes.
That one.
I thought you were gonna pull up Hollow Knight.
G4, yeah.
Yay,
G4
Hollow Knight love.
That channel G4 had a show called Cheaters, and to like promote Oddworld or promote Stranger's Wrath before it came out, they had a whole hour-long Cheaters special. I think you can watch it on YouTube, going over the different stuff, and it kind of blew my mind a little. I love the concept of it.
Oh my gosh, I love Stranger's Wrath, and I've met very few people that have played it. So we're kindred spirits. Gaming kindred spirits, because it's a great game.
It is, and it's kind of fate of me even be able to play it because I didn't actually buy an Xbox. I worked with someone whose son had one, and we're talking, the old big giant.
Okay,
over there.
wait a minute. So you didn't own an Xbox, but you pre-ordered an Xbox game anyway.
No.
Oh, okay.
I ordered the game after I had it. I was just saying I worked with somebody, and his son, there was a power surge, knocked his Xbox out, and he said, well, if you can fix it, you can have it.
Oh.
He already bought a new one. So I took it, flipped it over, called the phone number, and gave him the serial number, like, oh yeah, it's still under warranty, so I got a free Xbox.
Hooray! Oh my gosh, that's amazing. Who would have thought?
So, no, mini game for it, but that was definitely one. It did not come out for 6 months. It took me, I don't know how many weeks to beat it the first time. But because of the neural spiciness, one of the things I'll do is I can play a game over and over and over, start to finish. And it got to where I would start a new game after school Friday evening, and by Sunday evening, had beaten the game. And
that's impressive. It's a relatively long game from what I remember. It's been a long time since I've played it, but it's a relatively long game. All the Oddworld games are. So those are your three. Those are a great three. Those are an excellent three.
I could add more, like 5, 6, 7, 8, whatever, but we're stopping at 3. We'll just leave it there.
I am not going to lie. I did not think Stranger's Wrath would be on there. I was 100% like, oh, it's totally going to be Hollow Knight when you said, oh, this is for us or whatever, because we both love Hollow Knight a lot, but Stranger's Wrath, I also really love Stranger's Wrath, and that was such a lovely surprise.
I do want to mention another game. Another reason why I'm even here, even knowing about any of this, is actually
oh yes, I remember you talking about Alice.
Madness Returns. The big thing about this one is I didn't watch anybody on YouTube, or Twitch didn't exist. Never watched YouTube, and I got stuck. Again, terrible player. I got really, really stuck in one spot, and so I started looking online trying to find people playing it. And at the time, it was such a big thing. I don't know how it is now, but for the money, nobody finished games. They would start, and as soon as the viewership dropped off, they would drop the game and go to something else.
Okay.
First of all, that introduced me to the whole gaming community online, and started, I was in college when the internet came into being. I was in high school, it was bulletin boards, and then in college, the internet, and I remember like when YouTube first started, and Google and all that stuff came up, and used to, all those sites are nothing like what they are now.
Right. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Way better. But that kind of got me, and I started thinking, I need to start a channel, and I want to play every game all the way through, and then post video, so I know I got every bit of the game, so it doesn't just stop partway through.
Yeah.
But again, good idea. Years later, still haven't done it.
Okay, my next question for you is, have any games made you cry, or have any games given you a really emotional response? Because some people aren't criers.
Well, it's kind of like the other question when I said, the impact wasn't necessarily good. This isn't like the oh boo hoo whatever. It's made me emotional in the standpoint of being terrible at games and dying over and over and over and over. So I don't remember specifically, but I am really sure there's probably been a couple of games tried through controllers.
We've all been there.
Had little tantrums.
Yeah. I can't do this.
But that would have been mostly in the NES days because those games, as you said, they're brutal. They're hard.
Really hard.
Many tries, and yeah, if there was any crying, it would have been quietly in my room. But I think it was more tears of rage,
just frustration for certain. I remember trying to like bend the controller and like break it when I would get really, really angry, like with the SNES or whatever. I remember like legitimately, and my like tiny little child hands, trying to like break it. But I remember being so angry. I don't think I've ever thrown a controller, but there have definitely been times where I've had that kind of emotional response where I'm just like, and I have to just like. Well,
I couldn't throw it because, in those days they weren't wireless. So
that's true. So if you threw it, your NES would go with it, and then everything was just a mess.
I did try to punish it, pushing the buttons harder and harder.
Yes.
No, I want to do this, stupid. Yeah.
Somehow I felt like pushing the buttons harder would work better too. I don't really know why. Okay, well, my last question for you is, why do you like playing games?
Originally, as I said, with our family, Dad was in the computers back, a lot of people weren't into them back then. He's an electronics guy. That's why I'm an electrical engineer, kind of following in with that. But that kind of got me into it, the Atari and all of that. But then, like I said, with the Nintendo, once I started getting through elementary school, and of course this gets into being particularly the anxiety and being a little bit on the autism, which I wasn't diagnosed with any of this until like late 30s. So I was going through school, and I just knew that I didn't really relate good to other people, but I didn't exactly know what. And I would have like one or two close friends, but I have a sort of family that's a lot like the whole family, extended and all, like a sitcom. Everybody's kind of a smart aleck and ribbing each other, that kind of thing. You walk up to some people that you don't know, and you start talking like that, thinking that's how you talk to people. You don't make friends very quick. And I was a skinny kid. I graduated high school at 115 pounds. I mean, you could see my heartbeat literally through my chest.
Yeah.
Never got beat up, but there has been some assaults, picked on, spit on, laughed at, made a laughing stock, all that kind of stuff for years. It Blink 182, which I don't know if they've gotten canceled or anything. You got to watch that with mentioning any kind of famous people.
You never know.
But they had a song called Adam's Song, and it was about someone basically ending things.
Yeah.
And one of the lines in it is, "I can't wait till I get home to pass the time in my room alone." And that was pretty much how it was all the way up through high school, of just go home alone, be in my room alone, playing the game. I had one or two close friends, but for the most part, it was just playing the games. That was like what I had.
Yeah.
That and a little bit watching movies, but for the most part, it was playing those games. I usually play the same ones over and over and over. And of course, now I know why. But,
games were your
all the bad stuff. That was
world.
Sort of the escape. Yeah, the getting away from, the real world. The real world was awful. That was the escape. There were some pretty bad, rough times for a while there. Yeah. So
Well, I just want to put out there that I'm sorry that happened to you, because I watched my brother get bullied pretty severely in high school. And my brother was a gamer, and my brother had some traits and characteristics that he got bullied for. And so I'm just really sorry that happened. I'm glad you had games. I'm glad you had somewhere to go when you didn't feel like you could go into the real world. I think that's a very real thing for a lot of people. So I'm really sorry that happened. But I am glad you had games.
I felt a lot worse about it back then, not knowing about my other issues. Like I say, through high school, and then about late high school through college, I kind of got away from games. And now that was kind of one of the reasons I thought about trying to get into the whole streaming or, YouTubing or whatever, although that's gotten really highly saturated, but not to try to do it as a, like to make money or whatever, but to kind of, I don't want to say I lost that loving feeling, but it's like I don't feel the same necessarily. It's kind of like some movies you watch, you like it, but it's more fun if you can get somebody who hasn't seen it or watch it with somebody else.
Absolutely.
And it's the thought of being able to go on and play some of these old games again online, with other people. But I'm also kind of thinking, yeah, I feel a little disconnected because I missed a big chunk of games there where people get nostalgic for N64 and PlayStation 1, and I wasn't playing through that time. So Resident Evil, Silent Hill, even like I said, the Majora's Mask. There's a lot of games.
I don't like those scary games.
Talking about it, and it's like, don't know.
That's kind of how I feel about Xbox games for the most part, because I'm like, I don't really know, man. I didn't own an Xbox. We were PlayStation people. So any of the Xbox titles, like I didn't play Halo until I was like 25.
Never played it.
You've never played Halo? Oh, think of all the amazing experiences you'll have playing it for the first time then.
Think of all the amazing experiences if you played Doom.
No. I can handle spooks, but I don't like blood. And there's a running joke in my Twitch community that, I don't know why, but everybody likes to joke that I'll someday play Doom. And just full disclosure, I'll never play Doom. But everybody likes to laugh about it, and everybody likes to crack jokes about it. I have zero interest in playing Doom, but I just don't like lots and lots of blood. I don't like insides to be on the outside. I'm glad you at least had games for those really hard times. And I think there really is power in having games like that are comfort games that you can play over and over and over again, and depending on like where you were when you first played them or whatever, I don't think that is strange or uncommon behavior at all. I know I have games that I love to replay over and over and over again, because they just bring me comfort. They just make me feel good, and whether I beat them or not, it's just a comfort to play them, so that actually makes me really happy that you at least had that to get you through those hard times. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me about games. This has actually been absolutely fascinating. I've loved listening to your life in games because it's so different than what mine was. So thank you so much for taking the time to chat.
Thank you for having me on, and look forward to you continue to avoid Doom.